Hi everyone, and welcome to the Harnessing Your Website to Survive and Thrive During COVID-19 webinar. Just while we're waiting for a few more people to join us, I'm just going to launch a poll, and this will be most relevant for our accounting and bookkeeping viewers. But look, if you're also a small business yourself, you could actually take part in it as well. And we're just really interested to see how many people are trading or not trading at present. We know these are pretty unprecedented times, and Grant and I, who I'll introduce in a minute, we're talking about the number of businesses who have taken up assistance from the government in terms of packages. So, I mean, I think there'll definitely be a large amount who aren't trading at the present. So, yeah, really interesting to get your views on that just while we have a few more people join. Great, so let's kick off, and I'll leave that poll up there for the moment, just for any people who join us lately. Welcome everyone, my name is Charles Clark, and I'm really thrilled to be joined by Grant Johnson from Rocket Spark. So Rocket Spark, what we love about them and why we work so closely with them is that they basically have an amazingly simple to use website builder. But more so where we really see eye to eye is on helping businesses, and that's kind of where this webinar came from. Grant and I were sort of talking about the challenges faced by businesses and our users, and we just thought that a website in particular, given that face-to-face trading has for the last few weeks or month been banned, then really your website is the key portal now more than ever. So welcome, Grant. Great to have you with us.
Great, thanks, Charles. Yeah, great to be here. Hi, everyone.
Great, so I realize everyone's probably short of time, so we'll get straight into it. And what we're just going to cover today are basically taking you through about 5 or 6 things that you can really think about in terms of your website. And as Grant was saying to me, you know, there are some basics that you want on your website, and so we'll just take you through those first. And so Grant, you were saying, you know, you really have to be specific in terms of acknowledging that we live in a different world currently and the sorts of communications that you have to now add to your website.
Yeah, there's a lot of, it's just such interesting times. I've heard that, kind of cliched and words like unprecedented probably more times at the moment. But yeah, by just providing just clarity to people that are visiting your business to say what your status is. You know, are you currently operating, and letting people in from, know where you're at is super helpful. Yeah, so there's a few things we've got here. Around just having on your website. So just making it clear to customers your current status. So having a status page, we're open, we're not open, or yes, we are open, this is what we're doing. So that's kind of one of the really key ones. Explaining to your clients too, the steps you're taking to keep them safe. So if you are operating, what are steps you're doing, in terms of sanitary processes and so on, that's kind of really, really useful. And sharing your expertise in a blog. So, and once you've got that content, then distributing it out to your audience, which Boma is obviously a fantastic tool to do that. And also it's a fantastic time to connect with your customers as well, your clients, and letting them know, just being really helpful. And as Charles and I go through this, there'll be, we've got some really good examples of businesses that are doing that, both sort of accounting and bookkeeping practices and just businesses, kind of small businesses, and what they're doing. Yeah, there's and there's kind of one other one is just we put in there. It's just actually is a great chance when people are kind of are confined to a desk, is to actually test the idea of live chat. It's something that is can be a challenge to administer in a busy business, but it's highly effective if you're able to utilize it. But this is probably when you are confined to a location and you're there, is actually something that you could test and get up on your website to test that concept.
And I think one of the things that we have uncovered in the process of putting this webinar together is the amount of people who have really been forced to approach the current situation. Obviously it's a massive, massive challenge, and don't think for a second that we don't understand that, but also many businesses have been in a way forced to evolve and adapt to keep on going. And I think one of the things we've been fascinated by is possibly the transition to a sort of a more online digital business, which they probably know they needed to do anyway, but they were thinking, look, I'll do it in the next kind of couple of years or something like that, has suddenly been squeezed down into kind of a month. And so that's a really fascinating thing. So there's lots of opportunities, whether you're an accountant, bookkeeper, or a small business, to really rethink about how you offer your services, your products to your clients and customers.
Yeah,
And this is
sorry, just
sorry.
on that too, Charles. It's just, yeah, for those that are innovating and really grabbing it at the opportunities at the moment, it's actually a real time to shine. You know, it's probably, you know, hopefully a once in a lifetime event for us. You know, hopefully not more, but it's a chance to really, you know, make your mark and step out and do things differently.
Actually, that is a really good point, and I think this this website here sums it up. And so Accounting Solutions are a client of ours down in Christchurch, and they, as soon as you jump onto their website, they've sort of mimicked the New Zealand government's yellow and white stripes, but it is super impactful, and they are sort of stating right up front that it's unprecedented times and we're here to help. So there's no uncertainty when it comes to understanding that they are aware of the situation and going to do everything in their power to help. And I think that is even taken through into other pages where they go a step further and really start to outline and offer some solutions to their readers about what they can do. So it's really nice here. They talk about cash flow, managing debt, you know, planning for the future. They also talk about funding. So, you know, stating that they're a qualified provider from the regional business partner. You know, these are all sort of key things. And obviously this is an accounting example, and Grant will sort of talk about some other examples in a second. But, you know, businesses are feeling very challenged and stressed at the moment. So if you can just make it as easy as possible when they come onto your website to understand what it is that you are doing to adapt and evolve and assist them in this process. You know, you don't want them looking on your website, you know, to whether or not you're covering COVID-19.
Yeah, with you know, with the examples that we'll go into now, you know, I'd hate for you to think we're here just trying to flog you a website. It's, you know, the reason we've put them in is genuinely to just show you what some clever and innovative people are doing from the business perspective, to hopefully, particularly for the accounting and bookkeeping clients is on the call, is to equip you with the knowledge to help your clients and show them some ideas. Because, you know, the ones that are doing this well, like, yeah, going phenomenally well, that their new kind of activities could actually be more significant than what they were doing before, which is quite amazing. And here, sort of this one example in terms of letting customers know is a local sort of fitness studio, and what they've ended up doing, you know, they kind of set about on their page and just made it really quite personal. You know, hey, we're sad to announce what's happened, and here's how you can keep in touch, and also an online class. So it's kind of, you know, there's no question of doubt where they're at and how they can help and how you can support them. And probably one key point we're seeing is just how passionate kind of people are about supporting local businesses. Even for us as a New Zealand provider, you know, there's thousands of website builders, but the number of times that people have said, hey, we want to support because you're local. And for, you know, people in Australia, we're finding also, you know, the local businesses where people are locked down, you know, or restricted movements, people are looking at how they can support them much better. And here's just like for businesses that are able to trade, you know, and there's still businesses that are there. It's just, you know, making it really clear on the website. So there's just a website, Pure and Wholesome, selling pet food and kind of baby wipes. You got to keep your pet fed and your baby clean. So, you know, they're still able to trade, and they just make it really clear right from the start of the website. So that's something, you know, in terms of making it clear on your website where you're at.
Now, obviously, it's great for us to sort of sit here and talk about, you know, you need to be telling people what's happening, and especially for an accountant or bookkeeper, telling your clients, you know, giving them information that they can use. And these are two really good examples of people who are doing that. So, you know, this is on one of these I think both on their blog pages, but you can see here immediately a whole bunch of stories that are going to address key needs that their clients and small businesses have. So, you know, business support fact sheets, you know, level alert, you know, what your business can do to prepare. And it's just a really nice way to give that person, that business owner, a little bit more information that they can take away, maybe read themselves, maybe give to their business partners, just to sort of try and help them figure out a way forward. And ideally, having read that, and whether you send it to them by an email, or maybe you put it out on social media, ideally that will give them something to then give you a call about, and you'll have done the little job of educating them a little bit first, so that they have a little bit more of an idea about, okay, this is where my business is, this is what you've sort of said are the policies in place that might apply. Now, how do we sort of make it happen for my business? So we know that every accountant and bookkeeper that we as Boma have spoken to said that they are just run off their feet with clients sort of understandably very anxious to work on and save their businesses. So, one thing to definitely think about is how can you communicate efficiently with a large number of people? And then maybe in normal times you would have done, one-to-one phone calls. Now you may not have time for that. So think about technology leveraging ways that you can get the information out there. So it might be a social post, it might be a blog, it may even be that you do what we're doing and you hold a Zoom for your clients, maybe once or twice a week for half an hour, and they can just ask general questions, and you can sort of build a community, but also sort of give a bit of education. And then if they have additional questions, they can obviously give you a call personally.
The questions that your clients are asking you and your customers are asking you, it's just such a great place to start with the content that you prepare, because it's almost like the tip of the iceberg. The people that are asking the questions are coming to you. There's also a whole lot that are out there searching before they pick up the phone, and there's just so much confusion around. So great, you've got a government subsidy. Do you pay PAYE? Just the usual rules apply around that. So just providing comfort. If people are actually earning under the thresholds, and you're in a market like New Zealand where they're paying out up to a certain level, what does a part-timer get? There's just all sorts of questions where people are just confused, and if you've got that content in just a really nice structured way. And it's also a great way of connecting with potential clients, because people are, oh wow, they've made it so simple and so clear. I really like the way they seem to understand my industry, and it's just a fantastic way by sharing a bit of your knowledge and giving it a bit away, and then distributing it out through Boma. You're building a client base and making a customer support side of things really efficient.
So in terms of the information that you get, so on the left-hand side, we've got a bunch of resources that Grant at Rocket Spark have really helpfully put together. And Grant, I was meant to post this out to everyone, and I'm going to see if I can do it. I'm just a bit nervous in terms of what I may or may not have.
I'd be too scared right now.
What I might do, everyone, is when we post out the recording of this to everyone, I'll include the link to Rocket Spark's blog post, which has all these links in here for New Zealand, AU, and also the UK. But really good places for you to either send your clients or to go yourself to dig a bit deeper in terms of what are the issues, what are the policies, what does this mean for small business, and really educate yourself. And I suppose the slightly easier, more time efficient way is to just go into Boma and use our content library. So I've just collected a bit of a variety of posts that we've done recently, and you see we're covering SME guarantee schemes, the measures for business, as well as advice on how to preserve cash flow and sort of help businesses through it. So again, whether or not you're reading these for your own interest or send them out to clients, there are lots of resources that various governments and sort of local business groups have put out there to try and educate everyone in this, as Grant said, pretty unusual and unprecedented time.
So one of the big opportunities that potentially could open for your own business and for clients, for the accountants and bookkeepers, is just exploring the e-commerce opportunity. So this chart is actually the sales through the Rocket Spark platform, and it includes businesses that are able to trade and those unable to trade. And I wonder if you can spot where the normal kind of pre-Christmas peak that happens around this sort of late November, early December. People want to get their goods in time for Christmas. And then even though a large chunk of our clients have had to close their doors because they're kind of not considered essential services, or they can't get the product shipped. And you can see, just before lockdown, and I think the last date on the chart, that's 7th of April. So we haven't yet updated it, but you can sort of see there, I think basically 2 weeks of lockdown in New Zealand, and it's a pattern that we're seeing around the world. So the growth we're in e-commerce, and it blows my mind. We've never been busier in terms of people wanting to set up websites.
I think actually that's a good point to share the poll results. So
yeah.
I thought it was fascinating, slightly more trading than not. But I sort of 57 to 33 with a few unshores. But I think, as Grant said, given how many, proportion that aren't able to trade, those who are, in whatever way that they can, especially sort of contactless that they're talking about now, it is a massive opportunity. I think the interesting thing is, obviously a lot of accountants and bookkeepers will be trading obviously anyway, because you're providing services, but that doesn't mean that you still can't do things in terms of events and sort of ways to educate people. It's just that you might have to consider doing them online rather than sort of a live meetup. So when we talk about e-commerce, we're also cognizant of the fact that that contactless element has to go through for you guys as well. So if you did have an event coming up, you can still hold it, maybe just run it online, whether it's via a webinar, or maybe you could do a Facebook Live or something like that. So it's not the end of the world, even if we can't see our customers face to face.
Well, one thing we're finding too is this whole new industries that probably hadn't previously considered e-commerce. We actually ran a class the other day called Butchers, Bakers and Candlestick Makers, because the industries that never would have considered e-commerce, and now it's the way they can get their products out to customers, because they have to take payment, they want to know what's coming. And and the reality is that e-commerce is more accessible than what you might think. There's platforms like ours and a lot around the world that can provide and get you set up with a website pretty quick. And what we're seeing is actually incredible growth for the innovators, and we'll go into a few of those stories in a minute. Just a couple of key tips if you got clients kind of exploring e-commerce or wanting to get set up, is just, from what we've learned, is actually just starting with getting your product list right. That's probably the most time consuming part, is just get your list of products, titles, descriptions, make sure the titles have the words that people are searching for in there. And then the other one that can be a little slow sometimes is the payment gateway. So if you start with that and then work your way through the website building process, you can get up and running pretty quick. And then for clients that are able to use these buy now, pay later systems, we're seeing some pretty incredible results. And this is pre sort of COVID lockdown, but it's where someone would buy something and then pay in sort of 4 or 6 installments. And sort of Lay-By, Afterpay and Zip are kind of the ones that we integrate with, and are big in New Zealand, Australia, UK, US. So so you've got those options there. And one of the things that when we go into the examples, is that small transactions at volume can be significant. So where someone might be providing a business at home, from home office, suddenly their reach is so much larger than what they'd had before. And so example of someone running a fitness class where they might have 20 participants in the class, paying $20 each, run a class for an hour or less, and that's 20 times 20 is $400. It's a pretty good hourly rate. You run a few of those a week, and suddenly you're up and running. And if you've got something that's quite unique and niche, but you've got the reach around the world, it's quite fascinating what some people are seeing. So just in terms of some specific examples, in terms of people that are doing innovative things that might inspire you and your clients, as Good George is a first example, where they've created a hand sanitizer product that they're bundling in with their beer and cider packs. And it's just a way that someone can keep themselves safe and also have a treat at the same time, and also a way to get your hands on some hand sanitizer. So that's one way, is actually creating a new proposition. Another one, these guys are interesting in their own words. Their prior business, or their core business, was called Fiasco, which made road cases for events. And in their words, the events business was toast. You know, large gatherings are just, you can't have them in terms of most countries around the world. And so they used their skills in terms of CNC machines and basically cutting out fancy plywood to make these work from home desks. And the way things are tracking, and I hope, actually they're friends of Rocket Spark as well, that some of the founders, and it has the potential to be a more significant business than what they started with, based on the traction. They've actually just launched today a kids at home desk, which is height adjustable for as your kids grow, you've got different sizes, and it's amazing to see. Just throw rather than throwing out the toys and saying, all their contracts just overnight just stopped around the world. And and then you can see there an example of a buy now pay later system added in too.
I think there's also something to just to note is that while not every business will be able to pivot or to sell their sort of goods or services online, there are still ways that you can turn operation. I'm thinking of a couple of gyms in Auckland, and so obviously they've had to close, and there's no understanding as to when they'll be able to open. Will it be level 2 or level 1, or they're just not sure. And so they did two really clever things. Firstly, they paused everyone's payments. So instead of saying to everyone, oh, well, look, we'll just have to wait and see, and creating a lot of bad will and having people cancelled, first of all, they paused. So they sent out a great piece of communication, and also on their website and also on their Facebook page, which said basically, we know it's difficult, for goodwill, we're going to pause all your payments. And the second thing they did is that they created basically a workout from home series. And so every week they send out an email, and they also put this onto their social pages, which has ideas in terms of food, meditation, and also workouts that people can do from home. So really clever in a couple of ways. Firstly, it creates goodwill because they don't have a lot of people sort of hassling them to try and cancel. And also, given that they've had to furlough most of their own staff, it's a lot less hassle to sort of organize in the back end. Secondly, instead of having a lot of people cancel anyway and then maybe not come back, it's sort of, at least they can forecast their cash flow. They know that when everyone is sort of allowed to come back, those payments will start to go out again. And thirdly, by maintaining that connection and communication through the website, through the social channels and email, they actually ensure that they basically they maintain their promise to their clients, which is to try and enhance their health and well-being. And then they understand that given the current situation where you're sort of locked in at home, they're going to do everything that they can to assist you with that, even though they can't actually send you anything in terms of a service or anything like that. So just a nice example, if you do have clients, that they can sort of, I suppose, think outside the box. It doesn't have to be, if they can't sell something, that's okay. It's all, in that case, about maintaining the relationships with your customers so that when things open up again, you still have a business and you still have customer base that you can go back to and hopefully start that sales sort of connection with again.
When those are that have their businesses have a lot of restrictions, we've found some too have just create a really narrow range of the products that they have. Say like a homeware store will have an essentials range, and just by narrowing down to a little range, but mass market when so many shops are closed, it's actually more significant than what they were turning over before, because they've able to reach people through online. And so another example in terms of essential is actually this bakery business, and it's actually one a bit close to home. It's my wife's sister and sister's husband that run it. And even though I basically run a web company, they only had a landing page, and it was still like 2 years out of date because it was still saying, hey, we've just launched, and that was 2 years ago. But as soon as they were able to start trading online, where it was cleared up in terms of bakeries and butchers could actually sell under certain conditions, they launched an online store. And I actually helped them in an afternoon, just over a couple of hours to set up that store. And we've actually done an online class. We've basically repeated the process, and we built the website with Ecommerce in half an hour. And we had the payment system and we had the content ready to go, but we literally built it in half an hour. And on our webpage, rocketspark.com events, you can see that class. But now it's quite significant because Elspeth, which is the name of the bakery, they've got their government subsidy, and now they're, you know, their income's still down because they don't have the shop front, but they're back up and running and trading, and the, you know, kind of building that connection. And their first bake sold out in just over 2 hours. And then it's been selling out ever since, in terms of doing sort of twice weekly bakes. And so there's a little bakery, you know, spotted an opportunity and going really well. So yeah, so have a think about that for your butchers, bakers, and your candlestick makers that might not have considered online before. And probably related to that too, is we've seen we have a partner program where people use our software to build websites, and we've had a bunch of actually bookkeepers register as Rockspark partners, because a bookkeeper is quite familiar with software. You know, they're used to uploading receipts and using like Xero and stuff like that. So to actually the idea of building a really basic website, which is, you know, what the average butcher and baker needs. And so that's sort of another kind of revenue stream that they've added into their business, but also making their own clients viable. And even an accounting firm up in Northland, as you know, they've two brothers, one's an accountant, one's a designer, and they've, you know, added websites into their business. So yeah, there's opportunities there.
I suppose, as you say, sort of heading down that advisory path, and if ever there was a current situation built for advisory, then this is it, isn't it? In terms of, you know, the amount of feedback we've had that, you know, accountants and bookkeepers are seen as absolutely critical for assisting businesses of all sizes to navigate and in many cases survive the sort of current situation, and that advisory element has never been more true than it is today. And I know for a lot of years that's been the sort of the mantra in the sort of the accounting bookkeeping space, but you know, it's through unforeseen circumstances, it's kind of here. So many ways to take advantage of it, I think.
And relate to that is just telling people like the simple things that they're dipping their toe in e-commerce for the first time is from their card provider, or they might be using Stripe or WinCave or eWay or one of those, you know, lay-by and afterpay. They get a lump sum of money each day from that payment provider, and how do they reconcile it? So just, you know, there's a great bit of content for you that you can have on your website, and then distribute out to people to let them know, like, hey, this is how you can bulk mark a bunch of invoices as paid, set up a holding account for your credit card transactions, you know, just a few simple things like that, that to, you know, the small business owner is probably a bit baffling, but you're really well positioned to help them with that. Just another sort of little examples of, yeah, an escape room, a local Hamilton business in New Zealand. They couldn't operate because, you know, confined spaces are not really ideal in a COVID-19 situation. But what they did was set up a virtual escape room. So because a lot of people are bored at home, not able to work, they set up this game that you can play with people in different locations. And they've been getting some good publicity about that, which has then helped their overall business. And you'll see a little chat icon in the, I'm pointing, you know, in the bottom right of their, thanks, Charles. Yeah, just so they've just integrated Facebook Messenger, a chat service, into their website, so they can just talk with potential clients and make the most of every single opportunity that comes their way.
I mean, exactly to that point, and also with Elsewhere's Bakery, there will be a post-COVID-19, and obviously we're all hoping that it's similar to pre-COVID-19. But, you know, in Elspeth's case, it was, you know, think of all those people who maybe had never heard of that bakery before, and now because of their ability to service online orders, they might become their bakery of choice. And likewise with the Escapist, you know, people who maybe hadn't heard of them before, and then suddenly, you know, because they have managed to, you know, find a fun, innovative way to market themselves, you know, reaching a whole new audience.
Yeah, the business models are changing, and it's going to be fascinating. Like it, you know, kind of predicting with Elspeth, they could still have an online, you know, might drop back to say once a week, but like an online bread subscription where you get this beautiful sourdough turn up hot on your doorstep, you know, once a week as a treat. So yeah, things are not returning to normal. Just another real quick example. So a little fitness studio had to close their doors and just set up online classes, and their reach, and because the classes, I think it's called Barre, like B-A-R-R-E, and it's like a kind of ballet thing. So it's something quite unique. And because it's unique, people that are interested in that, you know, the reach can be still really wide, even though it's quite a niche area. And so they've just set up online classes, sign them up onto subscription. So we have a subscription service. People can pay and manage their subscription, and then they just run these classes remotely. And yeah, it's just cool to see. So just thinking innovatively and making new business opportunities that could be really significant even going forward. Another way of generating for clients, say that do have more traditional businesses and just, see kite surfing until, in New Zealand, it's, hopefully we'll be back on the water from Tuesday, but is actually selling vouchers. So, both my mum and dad have had birthdays during lockdown, and, but they're in a different town, and obviously I can't, even if they're in the same, place as us, I can't actually go and see them. They're not in our bubbles, but just to actually give them a voucher for, when there's a brighter day. And it's also a way that we can support local businesses. And I saw actually in the paper yesterday, a local cinema to where I live near here in Papamoa, and they also have one in Cambridge. And I just saw, they were just struggling. You can't go to the cinema. And so I just actually went to their website just to see if they had gift vouchers, because I just wanted to support them. I love the little cinema in Papamoa. It's a great night out, and just thought if I can buy, a couple of movie tickets just to help them, that was kind of what I saw as, a business that's going great. We've still got, still getting paid and doing stuff. So there's kind of that intent to support local businesses. So if you've got clients that have some basic e-commerce capability, it's really worth looking at the voucher opportunity to just generate some cash in the door.
And I've also seen that particularly with hospitality businesses, so bars, restaurants and cafes, and you can sort of purchase, and it starts as, from as simple as purchase a coffee in advance, right up to sort of, as you say here, a couple $100, whatever people are comfortable with, because we obviously realize that everyone's sort of going through the same element of challenges. So, that's been quite clever, whether they feel comfortable just buying a coffee in advance, or this example here of a couple $100. There's many ways to do it. And as Grant said earlier, if you have enough high volume of low value transactions, that will still hopefully bring some revenue in the door and sort of support a business until such time as it can open properly.
Yeah, good one.
The educate and support bit, and I realize that we've been talking quite a lot in the last few slides about businesses, and this is obviously one from an accounting and bookkeeping perspective. So again, looking at accounting solutions, they've been running complimentary webinars, and the nice thing about this one is that it's also then available on their website. So they did it live, and it's available on their website. And even better, to view the recording on the website, you have to fill out a lead capture form. So you put in your name, your email address, and your company. And if you're a client of theirs, obviously they already have your details, so that's great. But if you're not a client of theirs, then you'll get a new lead, and that person is interested, in this case, in cash flow and business continuity. So something that you can then follow up. So again, lots of different ways that people can use, I suppose, technology, and then use your website as the main place to host and gather those leads. And like, again, this could be repeated in a different way for a small business of a different sort, but just, I thought, a really nice example of an accounting firm doing it themselves.
We've actually prepared on our blog, rocketspark.com/blog, a playbook for different industry sectors. And actually one that just came to mind is one which actually I think would be still really relevant for the accounting and bookkeeping sector, is one we wrote for pharmacies. So we actually just, because there's a consultative element to what they're doing and how to do things remotely. So we just kind of mentioned some of the tools that, if you are consulting remotely, just some useful tools that can be helpful to do that side of business. Just a couple of other points is just be prepared to adapt your proposition. So if you can help your clients just think, oh, what's a way that I could change my business to suit. So Six-Toed Fox Organics, they do use our platform and sell weekly, fortnightly organic food boxes. And because it's just gone nuts, people are fed up with queuing up at the supermarket and would rather have it delivered to the door where possible. And so they've just adapted their proposition so that it's just set boxes. So you can't buy, a bag of carrots and a cabbage. The demand is so high that they can say, hey, this is just what we're offering right now. And we're actually a customer, like personally, my wife and I are customers of them, and they turned up the other day with a truck to deliver. Previously, it was like the rural postie. We live in the country, and someone had got a whiteboard marker and written on the side of the truck, 6-toed fox, get your food box online, because they've reached a scale now where they can actually have their own vehicle and deliver around the place. So that's where you kind of just actually thinking smart, and probably, that's where also accountants can have such a key role, is just thinking about what does the business model look like? What's the tipping point in terms of where you might go from, couriering through a local courier to, the cost and where it becomes valid to have your own truck and driver to deliver. So those are things just to keep an eye out in terms of adapting. And also what we're seeing with these businesses is they've just reached a whole new scale from what they were doing before. Like, it blows my mind in terms of the growth that they've seen. And then what it does is it shines a spotlight on their systems and processes. So that's where, you can play such a role in helping clients, if you're an accountant bookkeeper, or for, in clients, just to adopt some of these systems, like, making sure, say for your website, connecting it into Xero so that the invoices for every sale are in Xero, and then the bookkeeping side becomes simple. They have, a lot of products to manage, a stock management system like TradeGecko. Hair and beauty, just get bookings ahead of time. So Timely, great booking system. So by getting ahead of time, and Quotient, a really nice, simple to use quoting system. So that if you're kind of not actually able to go out and trade, you're still preparing quotes for people in an efficient way. And then for retailers, Vend, it's, your products, you have them, it's a point of sale system for in-store. If you've got your products already set up for your store, but you can't actually open your shop front, connect it up to Rocket Spark or another website builder, and then, you've got those products coming straight from your retail point of sale system into your website. So you can actually get set up really, really quickly. And we're seeing like little fashion stores, clothing stores that are going to have to close their doors, and they've got their products in Vend ready to go straight onto the website, ready for Tuesday to start shipping the products. So yeah, and that's where I think you've got a really cool position to, just by becoming educated in what solutions are available. And when it comes to e-commerce add-ons, we're really happy to just give us a bell, and really happy to provide advice on that.
Fantastic. Well, look, everyone, we're going to knock it off there, just because I realise that it's busy, as Grant said, especially ahead of next week. We'll be sending a recording of this out to all of you. It'll also be on our website. So if you've got clients who you think it would be useful for, please do share it with them. Hopefully it's been as useful for you as it will be for them. And look, good luck. We know that you guys have a heavy burden, and obviously Boma and Rocket Spark are here to do everything we can to support you. So if you've got any questions, either on the content or website side, do reach out to Rocket Spark or Boma. And again, just leaves it to me to say thank you so much for joining us, Grant.
Thank you. I realized I typed in a link into one of those answers, and then I typed our own name wrong. So I've just resent that as the correct one. But yeah, thanks, Charles, and all the best, everyone. And if you want to bounce ideas, don't be shy in getting in touch. We love to, genuinely want to help, and we get pretty excited about the opportunities that we see for the innovative people.
Brilliant. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.